I could say, first and foremost, I've definitely been a fan of this shit from the jump. I really like where it's taking me. In all honesty, so far, I feel like every episode is still kind of making me ask more questions. This episode, and just to give like a quick, breakdown of what happened. I got bought pictures, right? So we start this episode off. I'm gonna try to do like a quick synopsis. So we start this episode off, and it's literally like this shot of Monica Rambeau, aka Geraldine,
Stunning.
coming back from the blip.
Stunning.
Amazing, right? And like, it's funny because the only time we've seen like people come back from the blip, it's been like funny or
comedy, yeah.
right? Or it's been like some kind of, oh my god, everything's okay. And this is the first time we've seen like the horror of like people coming back from the blip. And it kind of gave me that 28 days later opening feel, except for like in the reverse. I don't know if y'all know, if for the people who watching who don't know what 28 days later is, it's one of my favorite zombie movies. And it starts off just one person wakes up in a hospital, but in this instance everybody's waking up in the hospital. And even though it is supposed to be kind of this thing where people are returning home, it just looks crazy as hell, right? And we see that Monica Rambeau's mother has passed away from cancer. And we also hear Captain Marvel talking to her last words to Monica Rambeau as she comes back into existence, which is still kind of like funky when it comes to the explanation of what's going on, what happened in the meantime of that blip. So Monica Rambeau comes back, and she goes into a frantic looking for her mother, only to find out that she is no longer with us. And she returns to SWORD. We get our first look at SWORD, and it is kind of looks like a hangar. Let me see.
It looks like a makeshift like
Cape Canaveral, right?
Yeah, it looks like a little mini NASA, right?
Right. And
it's set in Florida.
That's what it looks like, right? And it definitely looks like and it had a bunch of like missile silos around, not missile silos, but like stuff that like it looks like it's made, like rocket pads. And
keep how big that one structure is compared to the actual office building. It was insanely massive.
And And it definitely kind of still looks like, SHIELD, right? It still has like the government piece to it, but it still looks like it's being built up, which also leaves like, when did they do this shit? That's another question, right? But
what's the timeline here?
They don't really tell us yet because we're still, learning parts of it, but we see that, SWORD is actually established, and it was like sentient watch. I don't know why I don't know this by heart yet. Sentient watch observation something or other, right? And you meet this first guy where I got a picture of this dude. Let me see if I can find a picture of this guy. You see the leader of SWORD for the time being, which is this guy. I don't know his name. What is it, like Tyler or something like that? He's the leader of SWORD. Right, I also meant to write it down. Look, they know that I'm bad with names, but they know that's why we brought picture evidence. You know who the hell I'm talking about. Disney won't flag us if we don't say the names anyway. So we got like white dude in charge of SWORD, right? And at first, like on the first view, like I just thought he was just some guy, right? Just typical guy in charge. But apparently he was super close with both Monica Rambeau and her mother, right? And they also make mention of how Monica Rambeau's mother started SWORD. And that's very interesting, right? Like, first off, that's very interesting because the mention of that and showing like a picture of her like in the SWORD base lets you know just how like important she was to SWORD and to the formation of SWORD, as well as the fact that, she wasn't only, a fighter jet person. She was an astronaut as well, right? So if they're going into space, obviously these missions are going past just, flying really fast in the atmosphere. They're going outside the atmosphere. So now we
gotta wonder what they did. So they discovered a space station at the end of Captain Marvel, which was set in the 80s. So who knows what they've been doing since then?
Well, yeah, definitely. And I think it's interesting too that what's her name? What's the mom? I forgot her first name. For some reason.
God, man, me too. Hold on.
Mama Rambeau.
Mama Rambeau. They can't get us if we don't know the names. Mama Rambeau, go.
We have two period movies, right, with Captain America and Captain Marvel. and both of the people, both of the women in there, go on to create this huge government operation with Peggy Carter starting Shield and Mama Rambo starting Sword. I think that's pretty dope.
That's really dope, right? Because like even in the like. Even with the divergent from like the comics, some of the things that they're doing is like very, it's very much speaks to like diversity in a changing world, right? And Marvel, we've already kind of touched on this, but Marvel's always been, trying to push for, these evolving times and even just showing those kind of changes in history. Regardless, I think it was a very cool nod. But one of the things that, Sword White Guy he says like, yo, we've come a lot further from manned space missions and stuff like that. And he also says things are different since the last time you've been up there.
Right.
So that means that Monica Rambeau has definitely been into space at least once before we've seen her, right? Like as an adult, she's been into space. Because this dude literally says, and I caught it, he was like, things are different since you've been up there, right? Which is very important. I feel like something's gonna come to, because we all know that Monica Rambeau becomes Photon, which is a kind of like Captain Marvel-esque character because she gets powers. If she's gonna get powers, who knows? But the character's in play, right? Oh, you have it through. Well, let's save it. Let's save it till we get through the synopsis. Okay, I'm gonna try to speed this up. So at that point, we actually get eyes on this entire episode being more of the outside world look on what was happening in during the whole WandaVision instance, right? Where we're watching the show, they're already on the outside monitoring what's happening. So they send Monica Rambeau to meet up with the FBI director from Ant-Man and Wasp, obviously, who we thought that was anyway, right? We already thought it was this character from the jump. It sounded like him.
Made that call.
Yeah, right? Like, to me, it sounded like him anyway, right? And I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. And he shows up and he busts the card trick.
Dude, I did not catch that.
Yeah.
How did you not catch that? I'm disappointed.
It's a card trick and it happened fast.
It happens really fast. That just means he was good. If you didn't catch it, that just means he was that good.
That's right.
That's funny.
But like he busts the Ant-Man card trick, which is something so dope because once again, it's not like a flashy character, it's not like a name drop or anything, but anybody who's been watching these Marvel movies, they know that that's a nod from the Ant-Man series, which is so perfect because they're still tying every one of these series together. And I literally have been thinking about all weekend, I'm like, how the fuck do they know what thing that is going to stick out so much to the viewer to add it, right? To say, well, they're going to remember this. I don't know how they do it, but they get mad kudos for that shit, right?
No kidding.
Yeah. You also
it feels very natural too, like the progression, just a very simple, mundane magic trick that he saw Ant-Man do, and he develops it. It's so dope.
It's so good, and he pulled it off damn well too. And
it's an FBI thing to like rededicate yourself to something to learn it, and then like.
Right.
I don't know. It seems like a cool character moment for an FBI person.
Especially some person that doesn't have any powers. They're just a regular character in this MCU show. Of course, another regular character is Darcy, who comes back from the Thor series working alongside Jane Foster, which is really cool because now we have two different movies overlapping. Still in the same universe, but they're overlapping. And the fact that these characters fucking work so well together just really makes me like the fact that I'm just like, damn, I can't believe they actually pulled this off. And like these two characters are playing so well together on screen, and it just seems so perfect casting to me.
And I want to say, I think like they actually have the same kind of role within each movie, like the same kind of like not really main character, but kind of just there for comedic relief, and they always nail it.
Right, and supporting characters too, right? And we're all about. I love the fact that like the doggo is getting in on the conversation. By the way, I'm all about this 100%. I love the input. I love the input. But no, we see Darcy return, right? Who already showing like her expertise, right? And pointing out that it was CBMR a lot, which was like radiation going back to the Big Bang, and that's what's surrounding Westview, right? And they also talk to some police officers. We see Monica Rambeau go out and talk to some police officers after meeting up with the FBI agent. What's his name? James Woo, right? What was his name?
Jimmy Woo, Detective Jimmy
right. Woo. So meets up with James Woo, right? And like they try to go in, and that's when we see Geraldine or Monica Rambeau get sucked into this bubble where Wanda is apparently in control, right? And we also see that drone was sent in before Monica Rambeau, and that's what ultimately turned into that little toy sword helicopter that we saw, right? So right after that, we also see that they start making like their own thoughts and opinions about shit that's happening in the bubble of Wanda being in control, right? You see on the board that they actually play at the fact that it could be Skrulls doing this. They write it.
That part, really.
Yeah, it's so if you look at the stream, it's a smaller picture, but it's literally right here on the left hand side of the screen. My mouse is touching. Yeah, so it's like who could be behind this, right? And Skrulls question mark is a really big thing because that lets you know that FBI agents are aware of like what Skrulls can do, right? Of their powers, and the fact that this plays back to the fact that Kevin Feige said that Skrulls have infiltrated every part of like life in the MCU. So it could be anybody.
SWORD is more interactive with other agencies than SHIELD was. SHIELD always seemed to be doing their own shit.
Mm-hmm.
But SWORD's obviously working with FBI here, so that's pretty interesting, right? Like I'm not used to seeing regular government agencies in the MCU. It's always like
I think the FBI is there for, I want to say Agnes or Ralph.
Mm.
And that's the only person who wasn't ID'd. Well, Agnes wasn't ID'd, and Ralph, they don't even know that he's there. And he was there for a missing person. And like why, or for a missing witness protection person. So why would he be there for just a regular person?
Right. That's another thing that we forgot to mention. I'm glad you brought that up. One of the reason that Wu is on the case is because of a missing person going missing, right? And once they went back and tried to like find the family, apparently they talked to the other people around them. They didn't know who the fuck this dude was, and now they're missing. So that's also a very, important reason to kind of link these characters together. Now, we don't know who this missing person is. I really have no speculation of who it could be.
He kept saying he and him. Use those pronouns. So it's probably not Agnes, but,
It could be. We never know, right? Like, what if it was like, and I literally just thought about this. What if it was like Pietro, right? And he like lived or some shit, and they like put him in witness protection. Anyways, that's just random, and that's probably not gonna happen.
The holes in Pietro? He did not live.
Look, man, he all right, man. You never know, man. What if he ran back in time? No, I'm just kidding. Either way, all I'm saying is his part is pretty important because the reason that Wu is here is because they're looking for their missing person. Monica Rambeau just came back to life, gets sucked into the bubble of WandaVision, and is also being a character now. And we see Darcy kind of make the big threshold. Yep, it's Darcy from the Thor movies. Make a big break on the threshold to figure out that these people are all missing people, and like not from the town, I don't think, but they all worked for like SWORD or something like that. Which is very, very strange because we saw at the beginning of the episode when Darcy was coming to help them out that they had some very like odd people being sent to this site. They had like geneticists coming in, a neural, like it was really like weird titles that Darcy, and that just kind of stuck with me because I'm like, why would you need to send these people to this site when you don't really know what's happening? But Darcy is the crack shot on this because she figures out how to see what they're seeing in there and what's actually happening. So they get like these old broadband or analog TVs, and then that's how they start seeing WandaVision as a show, how we perceive it. Now, one thing is apparent though, when they are watching it, they're not seeing what we're seeing. We're seeing something different from what they're seeing because we're seeing some of the cutbacks when Wanda is in control, but to them, it's perceived as somebody editing the footage, right? Now, we still don't know if this is Wanda 100%, right? We still don't know if this is Wanda 100%, but the way it seems is that, like, that makes me believe there's somebody else that's helping out on this. Also, the fact that they ID'd everybody in the city outside of Agnes.
That's true.
They also, and these are all kind of rapid fire, but I just want to point them out. They also point out the very real fact that Vision is 100% dead. Darcy is the one who dropped all of this on us, right?
Man, that's that scene where Vision walks in, and I can tell from when he was blurred out in the background, I was like, he looks weird.
Yep, that's what I was like, yep, that ain't right. That boy ain't
that
right.
Doesn't look right.
Right.
And then they brought it into focus. You're like, oh.
Right.
But see, here's the thing, right? If Wanda at this point is so powerful that she can convince everyone who had any connection to that town to forget that person, then that means that it's not about her holding up her powers, which a lot of speculation is like, oh, she just threw her out, so she was distracted. She's not distracted. She's losing her mind.
Yes.
Like she's literally having a mental breakdown, which is very close to House of M, Wanda. So yeah, like as soon as she walked in, I saw that, and I just think that's her just losing her grip on her reality as well.
Right. And
so
go on.
How does that gray vision work? Is she just dancing with the reanimated corpse?
That's one of the things that's really odd to me, because just to like kind of like circle back to that, now there's no way she's making herself see that. That's what I'm thinking. Because if she snapped out of it to see it then that means every other time she's not in control. Which means there's somebody probably either, and we saw this from what they showed us, right? I'm gonna go back real quick. We saw that everything is a hexagon. It's a 5-mile radius around Westview or Eastview or whatever. Well, Westview that's actually cornered off, right? And there's a very intentional hexagon thing, right? Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell is up with hex? Like, why do they keep hex? Hex, it's a hex. It's a hex. It's a spell, Steve. That's why it's a hexagon. And they're still playing to it in a bunch of different ways, right? I even saw in The Office where, like, the director's office, he even had, like, some hexagon shit in there as well, right? So it's very much getting to the point where people are like, they're breaking this down. And the view of this episode is really from everybody else outside of WandaVision, because I even love the fact that this was a Cliff episode, right? It was literally like we saw everything that they saw, but this was them figuring out exactly how it worked. So the episode, played out very well, right?
It's like they answered questions without answering a single question.
Right, exactly.
Showing us what we just didn't see.
Does Doctor Strange use hexagons?
Yeah.
He uses hex magic as well. I mean, it's still like spells, right? And it's all considered like magic or chaos magic.
Isn't the next show, the movie, The Universe of Madness?
Yes.
She's a key part in that?
She's a very important part in it.
So what if he's involved in all this?
I mean,
I don't want to give any spoilers, but Paul Bettany in an interview said that there's an actor coming in that he was dying to work with, and he's never worked with before. Coming to the show is going to be surprised. So a lot of speculation says
that's a lot of speculation.
I mean, it's not too much of a speculation. We know she's in Universe of Madness, so like,
right?
They don't have to meet in the movie. They can meet ahead of time.
But
MCU doing what it does.
But what if it's somebody completely different though?
Sure.
Yeah, it could be anybody.
It could be anybody, right?
I don't know if I mentioned this before. I've been meaning to mention it since. I kind of low key wanted this to be Mojo.
Bruh, that would actually. So you know what's funny about that? The fact is, there's a rumor that in Shang-Chi, that a character from the Mojoverse shows up.
Nice.
And that character is Spiral.
Nice.
So,
okay.
But that's just a rumor, you know. But if that is the case, this still does play to the fact that, like, not only are they setting up this immediate thing, but this is like years of play that we're getting introduced to. Like, this is like spanning, right?
This is, what are we in, phase 5?
Right, this will be this will be going into phase 5, right? Unless they pay it all out in phase 4, which isn't going to happen because that's where we are right now, right?
I think Endgame is the end of phase 4.
Oh, really?
I thought.
Okay, I mean, look.
I can answer that very quickly for you guys.
I mean, it seems like a logical place to end. And we just had a 1.5-year break or some shit since Far From Home or whatever.
No, that's true.
I think we're in phase 4.
Oh, phase 4? Okay, that's what I thought.
Start of phase 4,
this is the start of
phase 4. This is the start of phase 4.
This is the start of phase 4. Okay. WandaVision is the first thing for phase 4 of Marvel, right?
That's what I'm feeling.
But we also Tech said, like, we also get to see other things from the end too, right? Because Vision was actually the main focus when Geraldine left in a rush, right? And then we see that Wanda actually attacks her because she figures out, she's like, I don't think you're from here at all, and I don't think you're here to help me. And she literally knocks her through like 5 buildings or some crazy shit,
the
right?
Magic came out again. Shit was great.
And that's when we get to the scene of finally seeing where, you know, Geraldine was thrown out of this area of the bubble, and she says that it's all Wanda.
It's all Wanda. You know, my big takeaway from this episode, and I always feel like these episodes have themes, with episode 3 being about the children, but my big takeaway from this episode is that things that happen inside of this world come out of this world, and they are intact. Her clothes intact.
Mm-hmm.
The little jump rope.
That shit stays. That shit stays.
I think that's the big takeaway from this episode.
So,
which may have something to do with the children. Not sure how that plays with Vision, because
that's pretty interesting, right? So the drone got turned into a toy helicopter. The lead on the beekeeper got turned into a jump rope, right?
And it stayed a jump rope when it came back. It was still a retro
very
jump
childish
rope.
Things, right?
Mm-hmm. That's and that beekeeper as well, you know, going in. We also see how things are distorted going in, right? And we kind of glazed over it, right? But you know, James Woo literally was telling the director, like, hey man, why are you sending somebody in? We have no indication of it going like down this way, right? Like, it was just so many stuff. After watching the episode a second time, that director just seemed like it was something off with it. I didn't initially trip off of it. He just felt like the dick, you know, the dick in charge. But like the second watch, I was like, something don't seem too right with that guy. But also, no, I think that's another thing, right? She came back wearing all her same clothes. We've seen how these things translate into real life, right? But does that mean, and there's already stuff where we see, you know, like previews for like further episodes. What happens when like Vision is aware, right? Because we know, like by the end of the episode, there's no way Vision doesn't know, right? Because he's still smart,
that
right?
That happened once before, and then it did that really cool glitch where he was standing back up, and that scene was reshot. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
He had that moment of doubt, and then it glitched. She didn't even say no. It literally just glitched him standing back up, and he redelivered like a new set of lines. So he had that moment of doubt before, and then the end of this episode, he was looking at her like, this shit's crazy.
Yeah, because he knew.
There's a question in the chat I want to answer if I can get a second.
No, go ahead.
57 asked if she is orchestrating this whole imaginary place, wouldn't she know that Monica didn't belong? She didn't pick the hostage.
Exactly, right?
So today I can't stop thinking about WandaVision, so I read the whole House of M for the most part. And within it, Emma Frost goes up to Wanda. I think it's Emma Frost. Someone goes up to Wanda and says, why did you create Layla Miller? Which is in the House of M. Layla Miller is the one who basically can wake people up.
Mm-hmm.
She said, oh, I've done so much. Like I've done so many different actions that I can't keep up with it. So quite possibly Monica could have slid in there like she did, and either she did want her there subconsciously, or she just didn't know, because something pulled her in because it didn't pull anyone else in.
No, that's definitely I didn't even think about that, because apparently I didn't even think about that. Somebody wanted her there, right? Because even James Woo, he's like, well, why haven't you? Because Monica was like, hey, why haven't you gone in? And he was like, because it doesn't want me to. Can't you feel it?
That was so interesting to me.
And he walks.
Why did he feel it?
Guys, I said it before and I'll say it again. Vision survived. He's in the stone. When the stones are destroyed, they don't go away. They come back somewhere else. Vision survived the stone, right? He's back. Vision's not dead.
But how was he back?
Vision's hella dead.
Vision's dead, bro. My man's
the stone's not though.
The stone is definitely not dead. The stone is definitely still there.
The stone just reappeared somewhere else.
Yeah, I think I said this last week that there's no way the stones can be gone, because like the chosen one said, it causes the flow of time, and in reality, if you take one stone out, the reality crashes. So they have to be there still.
They're eternal. They're like core elements of the universe.
Yeah,
that's true.
So what if Vision is the stone now? What if Vision's part of the stone?
Wow, that actually
it'd be pretty weird for the MCU to keep the stones in play and just keep fucking with them. It's kind of weird.
I don't think it would be.
I hope they don't do that.
I don't think they will do that, but I think having them as kind of like, it's different than the way you play like typical like returning like characters, right? Because they're really not characters. They're just a device, right? So them being there.
Boy was almost completely 100% backed up at Wakanda. Just saying. When they pulled the switch there at the end, it was like over 80%. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying Vision's dead. We just saw him standing there with a hole in his head.
Oh
so
man.
Some part of him's alive.
We'll have to see, because I don't like the trailer. the season 5, episode 5 trailer, it shows one quick little scene of him outside of the bubble.
Yeah.
He don't look right.
He didn't look like he was handling it well.
What'd you say?
I said he didn't look like he was handling it well. I can tell you that right now.
He was for all kinds of help.
So like that's, for me, there's a bunch of still unanswered questions now. Like they've introduced more characters. Like Darcy is there, which we all know like are like the good, characters that for the most part, right? But we still have a few now questions, because I feel like more than anything, Agnes has to be, who the fuck is Agnes now as a character? Like,
that's gonna be a big reveal then, huh?
I think that next trailer, the episode 5 trailer, actually threw a little bit more info on Agnes. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Nope.
No, I mean, what I'll do is, you don't watch the trailers? I was actually,
No.
I typically, what I'm gonna try to do now, I guess don't watch the stream at the end, because I'm definitely gonna run the trailer at least one time, right?
Yeah. It gives a little hint into Agnes. So the one little line in the trailer.
Also,
even back in Game of the Thrones, Game of the Thrones,
Game of the Thrones.
when they after the credits rolled, they'd be like, next time on Game of Thrones, which sound like Dragon Ball Z or whatever. I would never watch those. I just wanted to be surprised.
Okay.
You know what? I had to see it. Like,
it's
like,
fine.
I need to know.
Like sometimes I'm like, I fight it as much as I never go out of my way, but it's like if the episode is that good, I'm like, you know what you did. I gotta watch it. Like I have to do it.
Can you imagine the pure, unadulterated power of seeing something, knowing nothing about it? Could you imagine what that?
No,
must be
I
like
understand.
at this stage in your life,
Nope.
Like, what a lost opportunity we have.
Not with YouTube in existence.
Right? Somebody will go out of their way to spoil it now, man. You've got mail. Oh, what's this? This motherfucker just spoiled the whole season for me. Jesus Christ,
real
right?
Talk, I had Endgame spoiled for me on Twitter.
I'm so sorry.
And
like
I was livid.
See, my trick is I just don't talk about the shit that I'm that interested. Like if I know I'm going to see it and it's out in the wild, I just don't talk about it until then. Like I just don't even mention it at all. And I'm like, if I don't mention it at all, then nobody will feel free to ruin that shit on my timeline. I've definitely had to check people about ruining shit on my timeline though. But no, I completely understand.
Your timeline's a bit wild though, isn't it?
You said what?
Your timeline's a bit wild though, right? Like,
It's a little rowdy.
Kind of untamable.
Get under control.
What else? There was so Agnes, the only person not identified. Also, I did a little more research on that board. When they show all the people, right? They show all the people who they have identified, right? It literally says on one of these messages. I literally had to go look this up because they like enhanced the image and shit. It said that Vision awakened him. It says on the board.
It says what?
So, when they show all the characters and they're like, hey, this person and this person and this person, if they actually have stuff written out on them, right? And it's the scene right here that I'm talking about. I couldn't stop it. Let me see. Hold on. I know what I'll do. So,
I'm legit pulling up Disney Plus right now.
So if you look at that board, you know how they saw that they said, well, this lady worked for Sword and they knew who the hearts were and they had all the information on the piece of paper. On, I can't remember his name, but they said that Vision awoken him, as in like brought him out of whatever the fuck it is. Now it's not detailed, right? They don't say what kind of awaken, but it said like this text, even though this image I have is hella blurry, like it's all legible text, right? It's all legible text. So apparently there's days that have went by that we haven't seen certain things happen in the show. There are things that they're kind of glazing over. And you can tell because in this episode, they actually show stuff in the video that you don't see, that they didn't even show us. And Darcy has seen more episodes than most, it seems like, because she mentioned something about like how often she does stuff. I was like, if she's doing, it's only been 3 episodes and she hasn't done it one time. So obviously there has to be more stuff going on that we're not seeing. So it's just spinning further and further out of like control at this point.
Right.
So Paul Beanie that confirms Vision is dead. Yeah, they're saying the Vision is dead, right?
That's an interview, y'all. How are you gonna believe that?
Why would you
That's
believe
marketing.
that? Why would y'all
Marketing.
believe that? That's hella marketing.
You're a misdirection.
right? I feel like they have to at this point.
They legit put shit in trailers that don't happen in the movie to misdirect you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And Marvel's known for doing that. Like, in all honesty, I can't even trust these trailers. Okay. I can't even trust the trailers that they're showing us. Like, that's why, like, I can watch it, but I don't say, man, that's hella what's gonna happen. I know. I already know. Yo, Gil Toss, making my boy Sketch Sawyer a taste bud. Yo, can I get some noise in the chat? Noise one time for the boy joining the club of the almighty taste bud. All right.
It. That's what's up.
Wanda says, Vision says, we don't have to stay here. We can go wherever we want. And then she looks at him and says, no, we can't. This is our home. Like, no, we can't. And she paused.
Oh,
then said, this is our home.
100%. I really.
What if the home analogy is? It's like, obviously the actors are saying she doesn't have a home. Obviously she doesn't belong here, but like, home's an interesting choice of word. Right?
Yep.
See, I don't know. I'm leaning so heavy towards House of M now. And especially after reading it, it seems like it's literally just the MCU way of telling that story, which is great because you can't go that way. You can't go full House of M. But like this little like fantasy world is completely what Wanda would want.
I mean, like I said, it just feels like that now that we've seen how things interact with the real world coming out of this bubble. Like, if those kids leave that bubble, then we know something's gonna happen, right? And whether that happens, who knows? But it's more about the fact that the lasting implications of what's happening now, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, this is the beginning of something big in the MCU, right? This is the first thing we're seeing from MCU, right? And I don't even know how long these episodes are, but collectively, we've technically seen a movie, if I'm not mistaken, because we're at like an hour and a half of footage at least, right? So we've seen a movie's worth of footage at this point from this one dedicated world that's going to, expand into the rest of the MCU. And it's once again, the amount of questions that I have it just keeps, every episode, it just keeps going up. Like, what is Sword doing now? If they think and this is another thing that I thought about. If Sword could think that the Skrulls are behind this, where the fuck was Fury, and do they know Fury's working with the Skrulls, right? Like, I don't know how this falls in line with everything, but like,
it's got to be well after, because when Endgame was done, the last thing we saw from the Avengers, we had everybody was addressed. Everybody was like in the hall, right? So Black Widow and Fury walked through the door, and they said it's not much, but it's it's what we got, or something like that. That was like War Machine and Scarlet and stuff like that. So wasn't that the last thing that happened in Endgame?
That wasn't Endgame.
That was Age of Ultron.
That's hilarious. So what's the last thing we saw in Endgame? Everybody split up or something?
No, it was.
The last thing we saw in Endgame was Captain America dancing with Peggy Carter to slow mo, and that was kind of just like the closing of that chapter. So there was no like team afterwards.
So it's possible Wanda just immediately took a dive into this.
Well, yeah, because this is literally gives us, we have a timeline, right? This happens immediately after the events of Endgame. The resnap, the blip. Because Monica wakes up, and then 3 weeks later she's on this mission, so it's only been 3 weeks.
Okay.
How long she was in there was only 24 hours, I believe. How long she was in Westview. So you're talking about just 3 weeks after Endgame, and there was supposedly a deleted scene in Endgame in which Wanda, like, you see Vision's dead body.
Oh,
and you
wow.
see Wanda get it, and that came out I think today or yesterday. Or something
Wait,
like that.
what? I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, it said it's I don't know where I saw it. I saw it a couple places, but that was what's been going on the YouTubes.
Oh man.
On the deep dives, is that there was a deleted scene that they just didn't, put on anything. So
I mean, but we all know that all those scenes are still canon. Like, we've seen where Marvel will legit be like, oh yeah, we have all this outtake stuff. It's still canon though, you just didn't see it. And I like the fact that they still reference it, because I feel like even these series, the series that they're adding for Disney Plus, kind of all spun from like those little extra character scenes that they had on like the DVDs of the movies or the Blu-rays at the beginning, where it was like, hey, person or item number 57 or some shit like that they were doing. Like, I feel like this is a more, you know, focused version of that, because they still have all these characters playing out throughout multiple movies. So I think there's still one more. I think there's multiple big reveals left in the show. And they just announced that there was like they said a halfway season mark. So if this is the halfway season mark and we're at 4 episodes, that means it's 8 episodes long, right?
Oh yeah, it's about to turn up.
Yeah, I think they just said in an interview somewhere that somebody said, like, if you were slightly underwhelmed by the pacing of the first 3 episodes, they said what's to come is going to feel more like what traditional Marvel moviegoers are used to.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Turn the hell up.
Now, I think... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to counter that, I saw an excellent tweet the other day that said the first 3 episodes of Wanda aren't boring. We just forgot how to watch TV.
Ooh, that's bars. Ooh, can you retweet that so I can retweet that my damn self?
Let me find it.
Yeah, I think the first 3 episodes were absolutely amazing, and I'm a little bit sad that we're not going to get more of that, unfortunately.
I want to see the build-up. I want, like, the build-up for me is what's fucking selling me. Like, the fact that they're just like, yo, this all means something. And I feel like I'm mostly, like, I try to make myself seem as open to this as possible, but I know I'm invested. So when people are like, oh man, it's boring to me, I'm like, it's not boring to me, and that's all I can say. Like, I can't speak for somebody else, but like when I am watching this, like people, for me, this breaks the superhero stereotype monotony, right? Like, the fact that you have, and I talked about this last time, you have characters that are getting more than just, you know, fight a bunch of bad guys. Right,
it's allowing these really good actors and actresses.
Yeah,
to be
dude.
Actors and actresses. Like, you will never be able to see Elizabeth Olsen in the role of Wanda this well flushed as a character and her abilities as an actress, and it's absolutely amazing to see. The tone switches, top tiered. And I think that's my favorite part of the first 3 episodes, is how hunky dory it appears, and then immediately just goes fucking 180.
Yeah.
I see you, Sentient 12. Thanks for staying true to the club, bro. No, like, just to speak more like about like the actors, right? These are basically like little dedicated novels for characters that we never would have thought to see, bro. Like, who would have, if somebody would have told you 10 years ago that you're going to be watching a show, and 10 years ago, let's say 12, because then you're not even watching, you know, the Avengers or anything. You're not watching anything, right? You wouldn't believe them. Like, to say that you're going to have an entire show that's going to kick off the next phase of Marvel with Wanda, Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, and Vision, right? When you have all these other characters to pull from, no one would believe you. Nobody would believe you. And that's just 100%
I'll
true.
go a step further and say that if you had got to me in the 90s and would have told me that Iron Man and Captain America would be the biggest comic book characters in cinema, I would have been like, get the fuck out of here.
Right. No, that's 100% facts. Nobody's gonna believe that shit, you know. Right? I would want to, but I'm like, come on, man. They can't even do Spawn right. Like, how you gonna books write them damn selves? Y'all can't even do that right. You think I'm gonna trust y'all with Captain America? I don't. Look, if this is the 90s, I don't even like Captain America. I like that.
Who's that guy that played Cap back in the day?
Oh, man.
I don't know,
Like
but it was
Cap movie.
really bad.
It was really bad. Like,
it was so bad.
But no, I think for what happens next is going to be very important, because like we said, this is when it goes back to, you know, traditional Marvel movies. And like I said, I love the fact that they took this route, because it breaks that, you know, and also let's talk about like you spoke about the tone switch. Let's talk about the fact that like Disney is out here just brandishing Wanda banging this robot, bro. A dead robot at that. Like, what? This is on a Disney network, bro. I was like, that says a lot.
That's some weird stuff.
That's definitely some weird shit. I am here for it. I told you, I'm not playing. I work for Disney Plus at this point. I need that. Disney Plus needs to stay on at all costs. I can watch that on my phone at least if I'm homeless. Shit.
Yo, I feel like we're doing a disservice though if we didn't hook back to the start of the episode, because I know everybody's jaw dropped when that shit started.
I think that's on par with anything I've seen as far as the first scene in the MCU movie. Honestly, they could have done the the Marvel intro right after that, and I would have felt right at home. Like, it was super quality. and actually it actually looked better than any other blip that we've seen. Any other like
it
looked
graphically
it looked more just beautifully put together.
I was talking to Tech about this on Twitter. I said like before it just looked like dust or whatever, and it looked like a CG effect, of course, for the most part. This actually looked like living, like fungal fractal stuff, like trying to rejoin itself in some sort of sentient fashion. Like it looked intelligent, really crazy.
Yeah, it was.
It looked like it was a really neat effect.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
They are definitely going super deep into. I feel like they're making it to kind of like go back. I know we're talking about how the blip looked and graphically and stuff like that. Can we also talk about the fact that like this definitely like smacks everybody in the face that talks about how cheery Marvel is? They're like, yeah, man, like those stories, like it's all cheery. They're just thinking it's like funny. Like this is such a hard left pivot for a fucking superhero genre show to say like, oh yeah, man, she's definitely having a mental breakdown. She's trapped all these people in this city. But I thought she said she was the hero. Hey man, it's part of the story, man. It's part of the arc. And like, I think that is so cool to me that you're able to actually tell these stories. And that's kind of what I was getting at when they talked about like, just it being Disney, it being a lot darker. People who are familiar with the source material, they understand how far Wanda goes, right? In some instances, they understand that she completely has a breakdown, right?
She's actually low key a hero / villain, mostly villain.
Yeah, like she's mostly villain, right? Like if you know what the character, origins come from, all you need to do is look at that. She started as a bad guy. Like that's why I was really happy that it was more. They adopted the characters into the Avengers, right? Like the situation that they were in, they needed their help, right? Like it wasn't just we're good guys now. Like they saw that the person that they was working with was stupid, right? And then they decided to be the good guys, right? It doesn't mean that, they're 100% okay. It just means that they decided to help the good guys. And I think like painting that picture, blurring that line lets you tell better character stories than almost any movie, right? Because this is like, to me, this is like Netflix quality breakdown. Let's get to know these characters and understand them to see how it works. But like this is on a whole nother scale because once again, I compared it to like Watchmen, how Watchmen had a very serious tonality. It had a bunch of like nudity in it. And I feel like it was definitely kind of the other end of the spectrum when it comes to, I guess a superhero genre show or whatever the case may be. But I feel like this line has never been walked before. We don't get shows like this with these kind of characters. And I say with these kind of characters because obviously they take it sometimes and you get like shows where you have these kinds of things. But this is different because I really care about these characters, even more so than random actor.
We get to hang on to them for so long, right? We've had them for so many years. Like that's the beauty of it. Movie after movie, now shows turning into movies. Like we get to hang on to these actors for a long time and get to know them and watch their arc like go in completely weird, crazy directions. Like I'm totally ready for Wanda to become, if not the next key villain, and like a fill-in villain before the next intergalactic threat comes along. Right? Yeah, I can see her going full-blown villain for at least a little while.
I think that's where it might be going.
Right.
Whether she's being controlled or not, I think that's where it might be going, which would be amazing because you've started off a villain. The story arc is insane with the development, and the formula of like having relatable villains. We know why she's having a mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. We know why she's lost everything.
If you want, like, I teach storytelling, and we all like to tear movies apart on storytelling. We watch YouTube videos on how to tell stories. We all know that villains are more fun to write, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So what's more better than a villain that we've known for this many years, and we see why she goes crazy because her lover gets killed in front of her,
and you sympathize with it, right? And you sympathize with it, right?
Sympathize with her as a villain,
right?
Yo, keep game, dude. She felt her brother dying, and then the person who saved her was Vision,
right?
As she was about to die,
and now Vision's dead.
Connection, and then seeing it ripped apart.
Yeah,
and she's the most powerful in the world right now.
Yeah, Caleb. Yeah, our one of our other co-hosts, Caleb, said it earlier today in private. It's like she was about to kill Thanos.
Oh yeah, Thanos knew it. Thanos wanted to sacrifice his entire team, all his soldiers, just because he knew he was about to die.
Rain fire, but sir, the troops, just do it. Like, he was getting
about
beat.
to die.
He was definitely getting smoked.
Oh yeah, he was shitting bricks.
So we talked about the characters. We talked about, what these series means. I want to pivot a little bit and talk about how they announced today that Ryan Coogler just inked a deal with Disney to bring a Wakanda series to Disney Plus. And apparently the deal's 5 years, right? How do you guys feel about that? And just before we get into it, right? Before we get into it, my thought is that this talks about, this goes into kind of establishing what can happen with Black Panther, right? If they put a Disney series on top of, before they release Black Panther 2, I think that would be really cool. And whether it's like a halfway point to the series and then it kind of carries on after it, still fine with me. But I think that this is a way for them to kind of, push the story along in another route without actually having to like full-blown denounce or like commit to anything. And I hope that's the case, because then I would be okay 100%. I mean, I'm already down for it, but I feel like as far as when it comes to like the Black Panther and the characters and what they're going to do with it, if they say, well, hey, look, this is to kind of give us time to, see what we're going to do with the character, make it make a little more sense, and then release it, like I am like 200% on board with this project as is. But what are some of you guys like just initial thoughts? Obviously there's going to be more to this later, but like upon hearing that, like what did you guys think?
I was extremely happy. First thing I thought was today is the perfect day to drop it. February 1st, Black History Month. This is perfect. I think that they have to keep the story going, and they like. And I'm on the rare team of saying you have to recast because it's iconic.
Yeah.
And the impact of what Coogler did with Boseman and the entire, staff, it was such a groundbreaking moment, but it was so necessary for the culture, period.
Yeah.
And it's bigger than just the actor. Unfortunately, it's bigger. It's worldwide, changing the world type shit, and it needs to continue.
So before you go in, Ben, I'm gonna read a couple of comments. So Otori says, I don't see Coogler going through the whole 5 years of that contract. Why is that, Otori? Before I go to soft serve, Otori, why do you think he wouldn't go through that whole contract? I mean, I know what I would say. It's because like my man Ryan Coogler does a lot of films. Well, he was doing a lot of films, but I know that the Black Panther 2 script, from what he's talked about, released publicly, that was like one of his passion projects that he really wanted to work with Chadwick Boseman on. So if he was like, well, hey, look, we want you to still do Black Panther 2. We still want it to be your story, and we're going to let you tell that story however you want to. What if that's what they did? What if they was like, well, look, you need time to rewrite the script this way, and then this kind of segues into what Soft Serve was saying. Soft Serve was saying, I hope the Wakanda shows how they pick a new Black Panther. And I'm like, damn, that will be OD. Like, if at the end of that series, like if the whole theme of that series is on some comic book, there's going to be a new Black Panther, who's it going to be? Watch every week to find out as we get closer. Like, I think that would be fucking sick, because that would so remind me of like comic books, of like passing the mantle or whatever the case may be. Whether they go with recasting or just, passing that mantle to another character, I think that if you can make it happen if you write it well, But with that being said, I mean, if you guys want to touch on that, that's fine. If not, Ben, you can take it.
We'll let the chat fill in with what you just said. We'll come back to it.
Oh yeah.
I think I was a bit baffled, but this kind of cleared it up a little bit. I think maybe we're not ready for Black Panther 2, and we need a segue. We need something to ease us into whatever kind of story he wanted to tell, and probably he can't tell that story anymore, right? So, I mean, the way what a movie says is different than who's in the movie, of course. So maybe he can still have a message delivered just a little differently. But putting a show in the universe and showing a transition seems pretty smart to me. I always wanted Shuri to sort of step in, just because it seemed logical. And if we could have Shuri and Ironheart in here as like the two smartest characters in the MCU, that'd be pretty dope, right? But beyond that, I wanted this to happen with Star Wars, and it didn't, but maybe it'll happen now. you know, when the world sees something so tragic happen, it would be really cool if, I mean, I'm not saying it's be cool. I don't want to be crass or shallow, but maybe start the movie off with the funeral.
Oh damn, that'd be crazy. That'd be heavy.
I can't even handle that emotionally.
Right? I don't want to do that in the movie theater.
It's even hard to say.
I cried enough during Endgame.
Right. No, I mean it's even hard enough to say right now, but like that's why I wanted episode 9 to start. I wanted episode 9 to start with Leia's funeral.
Oh damn, that would have been sick.
Right.
It would have been sad as fuck, but it would have been sick.
Right. Yeah. But you know.
Hey, Sauce Serve, we are not doing that.
Oh my god, yeah, okay. Otori says lots of contracts and incentives are stipulation. If Coogler doesn't meet certain expectations, Disney could execute an early termination. I don't see that happening. Coogler could also have a clause of his own that allows him to walk away. 5 years is a very long time, and the chances of people going to the distance is slim, especially with the ongoing pandemic. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
I think he's gold, and I think they love him there. And
that's what I think too.
Them saying like, take your time, and we're gonna make it right.
No, I mean, look, if you really want, like, personally, like, I'm such a big fan of Ryan Coogler. Just the way of the way that he's able to tell stories, and the way that he knows how to, you know, produce movies. And like, I've only seen like 2 or 3 interviews. I've seen one he did with J. Cole. I've seen one when he was talking about Fruitful Salvation, and then after that, it's been all Black Panther, right? Mm-hmm. But the way that he speaks about these roles and these characters, like, I am interested in anything he chooses to put his hands on, because he's a very selective person, it seems like to me, where he's willing to step away from things that he feels like he can't tackle. And if he's invested enough to this character and to this story, to say, well, look, I'm going to commit any amount of time to it, longer than a year, or filming a movie or filming a show, that says something very good about the working relationship that they have, right? Especially if you give like an artist as much paper as they need, as big a canvas as they need to tell a story. I feel like that's what kind of nurtures any kind of relationship, unless they ask for some unbearable circumstance. I don't think Ryan Coogler would just like dip on him, right, without getting to tell the story.
Imagine whatever compulsion he had, whatever attachment he had to the franchise, probably freaking quadrupled.
Right.
When old boy passed. So he's like, oh, you know. So it seems like, oh, this breach of contract or not going the distance seems sort of flippant.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be one of those things where they just, you know, like, I don't think he would want to walk away from that story unless something crazy happened, right? And I don't think that that's gonna happen, right? That's my. I agree with you, Ben. Obviously, that's a bit far, but I don't know. I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I'm just a big fan of Ryan Coogler, and I'm very much interested in the story he has to tell. Before we go anywhere else, is there anything else that you guys want to touch on? Because I still wanted to talk. I wanted to touch on a couple of things. Elsewise in the movie going world before we get you guys out of here.
The last thing I want to say about WandaVision is today reading House of M gave me crazy insight, and it was really dope read, which I it's a sin and a shame I haven't read it before. You guys should definitely read it if you haven't.
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's 100% facts. What was I about to say? So, Tech, this is funny because I always see you going off on Twitter about this, but the Zack Snyder Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Sounds like Zack Snyder actually came to one of Tech's parties and shit on his
and actually just shit on the nicest tile. Just wiped his whole ass with it and put it back in the cabinet.
Point, Tech. Point to me on the doll.
All I have to do, instead of a doll, I'm just gonna pull up every DC movie that they've come out with, and how disappointing they have widely been.
So wait, Tech, are you
Zack
a
Snyder
fan?
made your favorite Superman movie, bro.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
So he doesn't get a smidgen of grace from you?
I literally think that I feel the same way. Like, okay, I feel like it's overhyped, and I think it will never match our expectations.
Oh my god.
I think that he's polishing a turd. And I know it's different than Whedon, but Joss Whedon's done some amazing shit too. So I just don't think it's there. I don't think the way they run the company is there. I hate how they did Ray Fisher. That's another thing.
That's another
that
thing.
has nothing to do with Snyder. But it's the overall company that's putting out this movie. I think it's going to be actual garbage.
Damn. Well,
that's just me thin slicing. That's just me like taking it in, seeing how ridiculous Steppenwolf still looks. Because you guys can say he looks dope, but he looks dumb. And I don't see them making that movie any better. It doesn't matter if Henry Cavill flies down in the black suit with long hair. That's cool, but the overall movie, it can't be a completely different movie.
What will you do?
I was just about to ask this. Go on.
Right. First off, I wonder if this amount of negativity, if you'll even be able to recognize if it's good. But let's say it is good. What is Tech Supreme going to do if this is actually good?
Okay. I remember I got to take a bet or something. Like,
something's going to happen. So much shit talking.
So wait. First off,
some sort of flagellations. They need to penance or something.
First off, Tech, I need you to watch this movie, and we need to talk about it. Once it happens, it's not happening until March, so you got time to prep yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can do some yoga. You know, balance yourself. Because I personally would love to hear your words about this. Now, I will agree, and I am a fan of Zack Snyder, but Justice League was a bag of dicks. Now, he didn't have 100% anything to do with that, right? Because Joss Whedon came in, and that's just a whole kerfuffle by itself, right?
I mean, what an unenviable position to be in.
Right?
To step in and try to, finish a movie that's not yours. Still make it your own, somehow.
For me, that movie is, I'm going to watch it. Because, one, I'm a fan. Two, I feel like there's no way it can get worse.
Oh my God!
There's no way.
Dude, it can.
Well, because I didn't think Justice League was that bad, I actually think it can get worse.
Oh, damn.
Right? So, but I like that Batman. We all like that Superman. I actually like that Flash.
I think Ezra Miller Flash is in.
Lobo. They should have gotten him to do Lobo, because that's basically Lobo.
100%. 100%.
That man has had his hand in every DC movie, right? Whether it's director, producer, or writer.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, let's see. He was the producer on Wonder Woman 84. He was executive producer on Aquaman. Of course, we know that he was partly director of Justice League, and he wrote the story. Wonder Woman story, producer, yep. Suicide Squad, he's executive producer. Of course, Dawn of Justice. I don't know why you guys are putting your faith in this man. I honestly don't get it.
Because it takes 300 people to make a movie.
That's true.
And I'm not going to put all the blame on him. That's ridiculous.
That's true.
When a franchise has a losing history, they usually blame the head coach.
Wait, tough. Wait.
Again, your favorite Superman movie. That should be
Absolutely.
Yo, you didn't fuck with Dawn of the Dead or 300?
You know what? 300. I've only seen it once.
What?
So it's not my. It's good. I liked it. Cool. I only needed to see it once. But that's not for me, right? It's not.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Amazing. I love Dawn of the Dead.
Yo, Princess Slim, thank you.
I went home and watched cartoons because I was so scared. I love Dawn of the Dead.
I'll fight for Watchmen.
I will definitely fight.
Solid.
I will definitely fight for Watchmen.
But again, Watchmen's story was already there.
Mm-hmm.
The whole story was there. Like, how much work did he? I mean, that's bullshit. Of course, he killed it. He did a great job with Watchmen, but the story was already there. So like that, I take it with a cup of tea. Sucker Punch, I only saw it once. Never need to see it again in my life.
I definitely never need to see it again. I will watch scenes from that movie, but I will never watch that movie in completion again.
You know what's fun?
Never again.
Put it on in the background when you're having a party or something.
Yo, real talk. Long as you don't need to hear what they say, long as you don't see what they're saying.
It's a music video.
It's amazing. Once you look at the screen, every time you turn and look at the screen, it's gonna be like, damn, that's sick. And then you're gonna turn away, and when you turn back and look at it again, something else dope is gonna be happening. You ain't gonna remember shit about the story, cause none of that shit matters, cause it's dumb. But you're gonna have some crazy visuals.
He does not stick to comic book lore, which I think that's why Kevin Feige and Marvel do such a better job. It's because they actually do give a fuck about fans and like
true
what we've experienced as like they make movies for diehard comic book fans and new people
and casual fans.
Comic books are. And the DC universe with Zack Snyder a part of it, they don't do that. They make their own stories. They just doomsday. Like,
you know,
what was that?
You know, this dude Zack Snyder is actually kind of crazy with the story writing, because you're right. He definitely doesn't really. I feel like he definitely spoke out when he was writing. First off, Princess Slim, thank you for dropping the kids off. I appreciate you, and I hope you had a dope stream. Zack Snyder definitely kind of smells his own shit. He's that kind of guy when it comes to like making films. I'm not saying he's like bad at making films, because I'm a Zack Snyder fan, but I think when he spoke about like Batman and stuff like that, some of his ideas for what he would do to his universal versions of the characters is so crazy. I remember reading interviews about it. I remember him talking about the DCEU, and he's right. Tech is right. Like a lot of the shit that he does, or he's had a hand in, this is the Zack Snyder version of the DCEU at this point. Everything up until this Flash movie is something, and that's why he's had his hand in it. And to that degree, I did understand that he was a part of all these films, because Shazam, all these movies kind of fall in the same Zack Snyder version view of the DCEU at the time, right? That's why, like, I feel like they have some kind of coherency, even though it's really not that much, because, you know, WB just literally lets them do whatever they want. And this goes right back to what you said. It's like they don't really have that much, in my opinion. Their appreciation of comic books and the source material is way too loose when it comes to interpretation, and that shows in the results of what's happening, right? They're like, man, I can't believe that this one DC hero movie, villain movie, was so bad. It's like, because the people writing it don't really give a fuck about the characters. Like, they don't, and that's what I think makes Marvel's films so much better. Like, literally, the argument that the people who read and actually, you know, understand the shit that comics are putting out, they know that the stories, there's a story in fucking 40 years of comic books history, right? From one character at least. It's not that hard to say, like, well, this is the most popular one. Let's see if we can make this digestible to the general audience. I feel like that's just common fucking sense. And I feel like fucking DC is like, no, Marvel's got that cornered. How about we make them so shitty, but that you can only wish for them to be less shitty? Like, what? Like, that don't even make sense. Like, I'm like, who was in the boardroom who let them make that decision? Like, I don't get it. But like I said,
they're just making superhero movies as they've always been made.
Oh my God!
And Marvel has set the tone differently.
No, which is that's the bad part about it, is you've had people do this so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan, I don't even know who the people behind the Joker movie, but like they did it so much better. And I think I remember Zack Snyder saying that he's not going to follow any story in comic books. He's not going to use any reference materials, and you can tell. You see pictures of Benedict Cumberbatch reading Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Brie Larson had to go through a whole Captain Marvel stack of comics before she even started filming.
Yeah,
you can see you can tell.
But to say you're using the reference material and to say you're remaking the reference material is two different things. Just like,
so if you can't pick up character nuances that like are true to the character, that makes sense, right, like, and they don't deliver it correctly, then that's a problem. Like, if you're gonna deviate, then deviate. That's cool, but make sure it's insane.
Are we judging these movies for their characters though, or is it just the script in general? Because I don't feel
I'm judging. I judge by the characters. I like a lot of times. Like I feel like they go hand in hand. Because
Batman not being Batman. Did I miss something?
So let me explain this, right? I think it goes like it's one and the same. The only reason that you're going to see this movie, they're not saying like some rich kid is now an orphan because his parents were killed by a guy in the alley, and now he drives around the city. Like, they don't tell it to you like that. It's just literally, it's Batman, right?
Yeah, everybody should know that.
That's what they're selling. That's why you can make a movie called Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. What the fuck? Who the fuck is that? Nigga, that's Batman. Like, everybody knows that, right? Like, I feel like what they're doing is like they're taking these characters and they're saying like, this is what we're going to market, right? But what happens if you get fucking random person who don't know what the fuck they're talking about to play Batman, right? And then you say, well, we're selling this movie as Batman, and then you have fucking George Clooney as Batman. Like, whose idea was that? Like, I ain't got shit against George Clooney, but who was confident walked into a room?
In a better movie, George Clooney might have been fine.
in a better movie,
Possibly.
possibly. But all I'm saying is that like, of course these characters, you're definitely looking for like the characters, right? Because a lot of times it's in the namesake. We know who the Avengers are, right? Especially now, the whole world knows who the Avengers are now. But like at this point, when you say, okay, we're gonna bring another character in, right? It's not gonna be simple from the writers and the directors. Another thing that we already touched on was the fact that Marvel does one thing better than just almost, I feel like any casting anything, right? They take these iconic characters, and I've said this before, they take these iconic characters and then they put them in a movie, right? But what they do is, a lot of times they switch up who's the leading character, right? And in this instance, let's say Chris Hemsworth, right? Chris Hemsworth, to me, when I first saw Thor, relatively an unknown. I'm like, who the fuck is Chris Hemsworth? I don't know who the fuck that is. And there's like, they got this guy playing Loki. And I'm like, man, who the fuck is this dude? And then there's like...
I'm gonna let you finish, but real talk, MCU made me care about characters I did not give a shit.
You damn right they did.
And Thor is one of them.
Dude.
Star-Lord?
Come on, man. Nobody gave a fuck about Star-Lord. Dude, you know characters are good in comics when they either turn them into comic characters or they make the comic character more like the iteration that is now popular. And we've seen that in every instance of any superhero movie that has been produced, made, watched, and, sold to some degree to success, right? Like, that's how it goes. But Marvel, I feel like they've cornered the market. Like, if somebody was like, all right, man, we need to get somebody who really gives, like, we don't know what Marvel's doing, because if someone calls me into a boardroom and they say, hey, what the fuck is Marvel doing? I'm like, look, this is what you need. You need somebody who gives a fuck about everything that you put out. If you walk up to somebody and say, hey, man, I'm a big fan of the Ninja Turtles, you need to find the biggest Ninja Turtle fan and possibly the best filmmaker at the same time. That's what you have to do.
You need a Kevin Smith, you need a Dave Filoni.
There you go.
You
need a Kevin Feige, and then on top of that, and this is what I was kind of getting to, right? So you take those people who are obviously very, very skilled when it comes to some of the visions that they have, and not all of these ideas of solely of their own. I'm not saying that. But the people around them, like being pointed out, it's very important to have those kind of same implemented figures in, because they know exactly what they want. What I ain't gonna say what they want, but like what is perceived to appeal to a mass audience is what I'm trying to say. But when it's all said and done, you have to have characters and actors that can make it believable, right? Because I'm never gonna believe that they're in a movie like, yeah, man, that one dude was mind controlled, so he didn't know what he was doing. And then I'm like, bro, the fact that they have successfully suspended the disbelief of so many people with some of the crazy ass stories that we're watching, especially converted from what we've read. I mean, come on, House of M, come on, bro, think about that shit, right? You said what, Ben?
Feel kind of gaslit,
right?
DC has gaslit everybody.
They did, bro.
Well, they did, not anymore. Like, the illusion's gone.
Yeah.
But no,
I just can't. I can't get excited. Like, I literally can't. It's been too many disappointments. I just can't get excited.
It's really weird, Tech. Like, we've switched places. I used to just hate on everything, but for some reason I'm optimistic about it. I don't know why. And now you're Mr. I can't hang.
Yeah, man. That's 10 years of shit movies.
Switch places.
He said it's 10 years of shit movies.
Yeah, gotta do it to
you.
You
Love the next Rock movie, though.
Oh, man. Kobo.
I mean, it's someone said I'm blind with hate. I am.
I hate you.
Too, like all these DC movies, man. I just can't get excited. Wonder Woman 84. Come on, we just
Wonder Woman 84 definitely just robbed me blind. Definitely just got my ass, bro. I was so happy. I was like, bro, this shit finna be sick. And like, somebody came from behind the trash can with a crowbar and hit me right in the knee. I was like, what did I do? Wink. Oh, God. He's like, yeah, gotcha, sucker. Take his wallet. But HBO Max, no. And it just ran off. Like, that's what happened.
The burden is on DC for me. So they don't get any more optimism.
I just hope.
Until they prove me wrong.
The only thing that I'm afraid, like, first off, like, I still have faith that DC can make a good movie, right? And I really hope it's soon. But my fear is that, like, DC ruins superhero movies. Not for just themselves, but everybody else. Like,
as long as Marvel has breath. I don't think they can.
I hope so. Marvel has become a beacon for movies for me at this point, man. Like, if there's nothing else to see in this world, I'll have something Marvel related that I'm always gonna be able to relate to in existence.
Hey,
And I want to give honorable mention to The Boys as well, as far as being superhero movies.
Shout outs to The Boys, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Hey, if Star Wars can go from the prequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy to Mandalorian,
Talk about it.
DC can maybe possibly try. Maybe it's Zack Snyder.
But I think so. Like, actually though, like, in all honesty, like, I'm talking shit about Zack Snyder's view, but this last movie is his. That's it. Like, apparently that's it for the Flash movie is the last movie in the Zack Snyderverse, right?
Yeah.
Get another reboot. I can't wait to watch Bruce's parents die again.
Well, I mean, we already got one. It's called The Batman, and it has Robert Pattinson in it, right?
Yep, they don't care about us, dude.
That's like, and we already announced that they're going to have a Batman show, then they're going to have a Batman movie, and then they're going to have a Gotham show. I'm like, bro, like, I like Batman, but like,
really looking forward to the Pattinson Batman. But if they show his parents dying again, I might walk out of the theater on principle alone.
Yeah, right.
Here's what's gonna be the dark side forever if they fuck up Michael Keaton's role.
Oh, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, like, and I can go on record of saying this. Michael Keaton is 100% my Batman. I saw this
100%.
motherfucker in theaters with my grandmother, bro. I bought cups that literally put a mask on him when condensation formed on the outside of that bitch. I love Michael Keaton as Batman. Like, but if they fuck this up,
I'm gonna be so mad, bro.
bro, that might be it, bro. I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm done. You will legit have to let me personally direct the Batman Beyond movie. That's the only way you would have to make it right, and that ain't gonna happen. So I'm out. Like, that's done. I'm right. I'm there with you, Tech. I am there with. But once again, like, my hope is not like completely lost in what they could potentially do just yet. I will say that.
All right.
I'm not totally jaded. I don't know how, but I'm not. So.
Oh, that
also,
baffles me, Ben.
Well, also, like, comic books are eternal, and that probably means that spin-offs will be too. So just because you read one stinky comic doesn't mean I'm never reading Batman again. No, like, wait for the next creator, wait for the next vision, wait for the next version.
It's literally been like 6 years of bad movies.
That's true. Because the more I think about The Dark Knight Rises, the more pissed off I get in real life. Like, I can't keep thinking about that movie. I was not a fan of that movie. Every time I'm like,
Really?
dude, I felt like that movie coming off The Dark Knight, I was so hurt. Like, I was like, bruh.
They had a rough job though. They had a rough follow-up job.
I think that's you know Nolan and sequels are not a thing. So like I was super surprised. Like, that's why I really love The Dark Knight. I was like, man, I know what happens when Nolan touches a sequel. They don't exist. This is not a timeline where he's made a sequel to a movie. And I think that also kind of speaks to his reluctance to stay involved with the whole Batman universe or help make a DC universe. I think it is part of that because he's really good at telling stories. He's phenomenal at telling stories. But he kind of has that Edgar Wright feel where some of his stories are legit just one-offs. They're like just one-shot comics. You read them and then you're done. So
yeah, he can't tell a story long term. I wouldn't want. I think he knows his strengths too.
Yeah,
he can't tell that story long term.
So
you know what? Maybe he didn't intend to.
That's what
they had to throw money at him to let him do.
Oh yeah, he didn't.
Inception in order for him to do Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, he didn't want to do that.
Right. So.
I mean, that says a lot. I mean, the same thing apparently happened with Sam Raimi and Spider-Man 3. That's why we had James Franco, Green Goblin, Topher Grace, Venom. Like, that's in the same wheelhouse. It's the same shit. Because apparently Sam Raimi doesn't like Venom. He's not a fan of Venom, apparently. Like, he went into interviews and said he don't like the character. And this was years ago when the movie was about to come out, right? So the fact that they made him shoehorn these characters in, it obviously played out in the movie and how it was perceived. I mean, I still got a copy of that shit on Blu-ray, so, but...
I wonder how much influence Warner Brothers had over Zack Snyder.
Oh, a shit ton, bro.
Making him do things.
And it's not healthy over there, dude.
I don't think that, like, I obviously take all of this with a grain of salt, but shit just don't seem like it's working the way it's supposed to over there. Especially like if the DC comic book movies are any indication, and I don't know if y'all have seen this Mortal Kombat footage, but that shit is starting to scare me too. So I'm, in all honesty, I'm just waiting. Now I'm just at the point to where it's just like, I just have to see it now, and I'm gonna see it the cheapest way possible, which is from my couch, obviously because of the pandemic, and on HBO Max. So it's just scary. It's just scary to think that, you know, I want them to make like a dope ass comic book movie, even though I am not the biggest DC fan. I am not. I'll tell you all day, every day, not the biggest DC fan, but I want them to make a dope movie. Man of Steel is my shit, and I will go on record to say fuck Superman. Like, I don't like that character. But Man of Steel was a dope... Like, I actually reacted in my seat while I was watching that movie in the theater. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know Superman could make me feel this way. Like, I didn't even know. Like, I felt things I never felt before. When he was fighting Zod in that building, Michael Shannon going off with the speech when he said, where did you learn how to fight on the farm? A single tear almost came out of my eye, because I was like, God damn it, Michael Shannon, I didn't know that you could make me feel that way. I didn't know you had that. I didn't know he had that shit.
That movie was so good.
That movie was fucking broken, dude. Oh.
Everything after that is... The fact that everything after that is a disappointment is heartbreaking, because that movie, Man of Steel, is quality. I don't own many Blu-rays. I own that one. And Henry Cavill is my Superman. Like Michael Keaton is your Batman.
Yeah.
Same as me. He's my Batman. Henry Cavill is my Superman.
You know, like, the thing about Henry Cavill as Superman, and like, I can once again fuck Superman, but I went into this super skeptical. I'm like, bro, he's gonna do what with Superman? And they were like, yeah, man, we're gonna show like how Superman felt when he was listening to My Chemical Romance. And I'm like, wait, what? What the fuck? Like, what is going on? And then I like watched the movie, and I was like, I think after watching the movie, I felt like his interpretation was fine, right? But him selling it sucked. So like, once I saw the movie, like, I was like, oh man, he's just horrible at talking about it. It's not that it sucked, he just was really bad at like selling it, right?
He's a really bad Clark Kent.
Yeah, I think he's a terrible Clark Kent. He does.
He's too handsome. Like, he's too cool.
Yeah,
like,
that's a big ass foreign boy.
No nerd.
Man, have you seen that quick clip of Christopher Reeves in the apartment when he's in Lois Lane's apartment?
I saw that.
He's all I think what happens? He's standing upright because he sees something, and then she comes around the corner. He puts his glasses on and hunches over, and he looks like a completely different person. Bam.
Yeah.
His transition from Superman to Clark Kent was actually believable.
Yeah.
He looked like the biggest dork.
I love Cavill, but his wasn't.
I'm gonna tell you right now that
computer building video was awesome.
That's how I felt. You know, that's how I felt about like what's his name, and this goes into like actors who can play a role but don't look the role. Like, that's how I felt about like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I'm like, he looked like Ultimate Spider-Man, but like, I don't really care for Ultimate Spider-Man, and he don't look like Peter Parker, so I don't like it. Like, it just really threw me off. It didn't, even though he could definitely act the part, I can believe it, I just don't think, like, visually he didn't sell me as a Peter Parker. Like, he sold me as an Ultimate comic book drawn Spider-Man, but not as a Peter Parker. If I'm looking at Henry Cavill, I'm like, bro, like, he definitely looks like Superman to me at this point. Does he look like Clark Kent? No. Does he look like Superman? Fuck yeah. Like, that's literally, dude, Tech, Hazelwood South football players. I felt like I was in high school looking at one of like a Hazelwood South, like a giant white dude that was raised on a farm in a football outfit. I'm like, damn, this is a big ass dude. Like, that's how I felt. That's how Henry Cavill looks to me, right? Clark Kent, I don't know how you sell that, but you have to sell it in a way like this dude goes from like super geeky dude to like this god. So that's just hard by itself. But even still, I fuck with Henry Cavill as Superman. Like, once I saw that movie, I was like, holy shit, this dude is hella good at this. He's really good at being Superman. And like, I ain't gonna even say that the dialogue wasn't the best in the Superman movie, but it really didn't have to be because of what they were, even the story itself. I still am a very, very, very huge fan of the Man of Steel movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Same.
Well, either way, gentlemen, I appreciate the talks, but before we go any further, before I get you guys out of here, I know we started at the Wandavision talk and we kind of like spiraled out of control from there. is there anything else, let's just say the chat will want to ask about WandaVision before we get these guys out of here that, you know, if anybody would like to touch on before we get to, you know, episode 5 coming up this week? And then, of course, we can run it back again if you gentlemen are down. Did anybody, that includes the chat or, you know, Tech or Ben, if you guys had anything, can we talk about how the only 2 people that don't have names are Agnes and Dottie? They didn't even show Dottie on the board.
They didn't show Dottie at all. And I'm still looking for Ralph.
Which one's Dottie? The blonde,
the blonde
organizer lady?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was super controlling.
She was definitely super controlling. And that also like makes me think that like since we don't know who she is, like maybe she's in charge.
She definitely peeped out Wanda and was like, "You don't belong here." So like there's got to be something to her character that we just haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone's kind of cracked Agnes being Agatha. Like everyone's on that train. But I'm really interested to see who Ralph is.
Yep. Yeah, once again, characters, and also they kind of debunked my idea that like the one guy is somebody important, right? Because also he was made up for, he was accounted for. He was like, oh, this guy with the mustache, fourth wall breaking guy, is definitely just some random person. So, no.
Caleb said, so I'm going to reply to something in the chat. Somebody hates Superman, but Caleb said this one thing to me that sort of flipped my entire impression of him. The fact that Superman's fighting regular street goons and not liquefying them is why Superman might have one of the hardest jobs of any superhero on the planet. He's literally holding himself back every waking, breathing moment.
Okay.
If he sneezes, he could kill you.
So
like, the dude's like got a hard job of trying to keep peace. Keep this world held together and not just murder.
Oh, let's go.
So I'm gonna with that I'm gonna give you a very specific call out. Yo, Tech Supreme joins the Taste Bud Sub Club. He been here for a long time. He ain't need to be a part of the clique. But can y'all make some noise for the homie? Yo, Gilly the Toss.
That.
I thank you, bro.
Appreciate that, Gilly Toss. What's up?
Damn, what was I saying? I got all excited because Tech got into the Taste Bud Sub Club. Damn, what was I just saying?
OP.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna squash the whole debate about how he's a really hard character to write for or to talk about. So, and it's funny because I actually just referenced this. So I love, damn, this is crazy because I'm wearing this shirt today, right? So I fucking love Spider-Man as a character. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. One of my favorite stories ever written. Shout outs to Dan Slott, excuse me.
Dan Slott, right?
So the Superior Spider-Man. Right? Now, there was a panel, right, where Doc Ock is, you know, just to give it like a quick shot, was learning about why Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He was learning with great power. He was learning the lesson of with great power comes responsibility, right? So Doc Ock has has switched bodies with Spider-Man, right? With the regular Peter Parker. So Otto Octavius is in the mind of, has taken over the body of Peter Parker. And while Peter Parker is trying to steal his body back from Dr. Octopus, they go into this whole kind of like one-up of knowing each other's secrets and like hiding their loved ones and using villains to take advantage of them, right? So Peter Parker, the good guy, sends like a rogues gallery worth of villains to attack Spider-Man's family, right? He's like, well, look, if I get them to kidnap my family, then I can explain to them that Doc Ock has stolen my body, right? Doc Ock counters that by taking all of his family to a safe spot. Now, obviously, the family's going to go with him because they think that he's Spider-Man, right? They're like, oh, it's Spider-Man, and Peter Parker, for some instances, he's not going to hurt us, right? But one of the bad guys get in, right? And I'm pretty sure it was Scorpion.
Oh, my God.
Scorpion gets in and attacks the family. Spider-Man has to defend them, right? And he punches Scorpion in the face. What happens is, since he had acquired Spider-Man's powers, and Spider-Man can lift 100 times his weight, he can literally he could kill you. If he just let loose and punched you, he would kill you, right? he punches Doc Ock in the he punches the Scorpion in the face and knocks off the off his jaw. It was like a robotic jaw. He knocks it off.
Wow.
And he was like, and all the people who know Spider-Man, if J. Jonah Jameson is there and all of his family is there, and it was like, damn, man, why Spider-Man go off on that dude like that? Because Spider-Man doesn't show his kind of strength that he has. Now, he's fighting a robot, and he knocked the jaw off, and people are like, yo, damn, this dude is actually super strong. And then J. Jonah Jameson says, in his head, he's like, man, Peter Parker has been holding, he's like, Spider-Man, I say that he's a villain, but he's literally could have ended all these fights, all these supervillain fights where he's fighting humans with a punch, and he still restrains himself. And Doc Ock understands it. He's like, damn, this kid could have, he literally says, Doc Ock says, oh man, Spider-Man could have killed me years ago. And he learned, he's like, damn, is that what makes him Spider-Man? Like, why did he do that? He could have stopped all of this. And that is part of like what they do to make a character that seems super powered, super strong, like it's something small like that. Now, that's a big point to like try to put in, and it's very creative to put in the way that you make it be seen. The perspective that you had the right to get there and the workaround to get there is just masterful, if you ask me. But the fact that you feel a certain way reading that. Like, I'm like, damn, I never thought about that, right? Even with all the fact that I understand that Spider-Man and with great power comes great responsibility and Uncle Ben and all that shit, they have never put it to me in the sense that Spider-Man actually could have killed like 1 billion people by now. So that's why, like, that's one of my problems with Superman. Like, it's really hard, I feel like, to write the character because you literally make him stronger in some very odd instances. And it's no, fault of the character or the writer. I'm just saying that it's not many good stories where I'm like, man, I really, really enjoy what they did with Superman in this. But that was kind of my long tangent on it. But that's just a way for, if you wanted to perceive it.
Yeah, I don't read enough Superman, that's for sure.
I used to, but everything you said is valid. He's just a character that just for me, I've enjoyed the thought of Superman more so than the actual stories of Superman. Except the death of Superman was insane.
Death of Superman that's classic comic book history, bro. Like, no matter how you feel about Superman, like, that shit's just good. Like, that's one of the epitome stories of Superman. Like I said,
but not good movie history.
But it happens, bro. I mean, unless you count Man of Steel, bro. I fuck with Man of Steel, man.
No, I mean, they did the death of Superman in the movies.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. No. Oh, God. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Superman strength.
Man of Steel, and then I'm done.
Okay.
Is Jonathan Kent basically saying, I don't want to live on this earth
Bro,
anymore.
my man just committed suicide. Do you know what that would do to a person with superpowers? He's like, Dad, I could do anything. Well, you could do everything except for save me as I dive into this tornado. No, like, why would you do that?
I was thinking, like, this motherfucker.
Right, exactly, man. Who you think? Damn, you just gonna check out on me? He was like, I'm glad I got this super son. I ain't gotta do shit no more. Just kills himself. Like, what I do? Who's that?
And then 2 summers later, here's Superman. That was literally a waste of life.
Dude, he literally, look, me and my friends, we made so many jokes about this. He literally could have ran so fast and grabbed them before anybody. I'm like, hey guys, what's that over there? Oh, hey man, here's Dad right here, man. How'd you get here? You said you ran? That's crazy. To safety, everybody. It was that simple. Like, he killed himself to prove a point. You know what? I'm gonna shit on this floor to teach you you're not supposed to shit on the floor. Excuse me? Just go to the bathroom. No, sorry. Anyway, Ben, you got anything else, man? I don't want to hold you guys too long, man.
No, man. I think we covered a bit. We got to save a bit for next time. So,
this is true.
I'm happy.
Turn up this week. This week's episode is going to be lit.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Okay. So with that being said, can I expect you gentlemen back Monday? Is that a thing? Okay.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I put it on my calendar as a Monday night thing.
Hey, let's go. Well,
I did. I'm gonna put it in the chat one more time, and I put it in the private chat with you guys. It's an awesome video by a YouTube channel called Nerd Writer, where he stacks up in Batman vs Superman this fundamental flaw that Zack Snyder has, in which he creates moments but not scenes.
I'm looking at it right now. You just shared it with me. I'm definitely watching this. I'm going to watch this before next Monday, and then we can definitely talk about this.
Okay, dope.
We can definitely talk about this.
I love film analysis YouTube channels.
Dude, I go down wormholes for hours watching that shit, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Right? I feel like a little scientist. I'm just in my room going down YouTube videos. I'm like, they said what? Let's see how valid this is. I'm like, this guy has no point at all. Delete. Bad comment.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you do this? Stop leading me, bro. I got enough shit to do. Thumbs down, you know. Either way, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure. I'll leave you guys to it. Tech, let me know if you plan some more Apex. I might decide to join you one day. You just got to carry me to safety. That's it.
Season 8 launches tomorrow, and that's literally for the next 2 days. All I'm going to be doing day and night.
And just for, we got some people in here. Can you guys drop your Twitters? Anything that you guys want to plug so you can give you a follow. Taste Buds, if you have not already, do me a favor, go follow these guys. If y'all in here listening to them talk, obviously you're interested enough to follow them on Twitter, so stop wasting time. But yeah, could you guys go ahead, drop your Twitters or whatever else you like to plug? So, man, let me see if I can find so there's a new poster for the show, right? So this is the poster, guys. This is the poster that is in question. So they're saying on this that there is a face. Can you guys see any kind of face from here? So Tech actually posted this. You said you see Mephisto soft serve. So I'm gonna go to the original, right? So they're saying that there's a face somewhere on here. I don't know what the fuck they was talking about, but let's go back to this one. So we already saw that one, right? It's up close. Boom. Right here. Right, you guys see it now? I'm gonna go back to this other one. So it would essentially be right here. And if you think about it, it's the only bouquet. It's the only formed bouquet. Hold up. Yeah, it's the only one. Oh shit, it's the only one. So this is the poster, right? And this could all just be a big ass play, right? I could definitely be reading too much into this. Damn, the Ninth Master, I fucking see you, right? But if you zoom in, right? They're saying that this is a face. And they're saying that it's this person. And I think this is Nightmare. I'm pretty sure this is Nightmare. And this is why I was saying we can't go by what we think, because there's so many plot lines, bro. There's so many things that can be touched on. There's so many characters that they could be alluding to. We don't know where it's going to go.